place to be. What's going on? It's me. If it's Sunday, it must be time for once again another long overdue movie review. This movie review is going to be of Marauders, the 2016 action adventure crime thriller, apparently, that I decided to review because Batista was the person that Netflix showed me on the cover. But this movie stars a whole bunch of other people that aren't our big boy Dave. Interestingly enough, as I'm watching this movie and it's starting to kick off and I'm seeing the way they lay the action down, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this doesn't look like an A-list movie. This looks like a B-list movie. This looks like what a TV show depicts as a movie as they're shooting the movie. This looks like something out of like Entourage, for instance. And sure enough, there he is, our boy Vinny Chase from Vinny and the Chasers from Entourage, Adrian Grenier. And it was interesting to watch him in this movie because it felt like I was watching Vinny Chase try to act in a big movie and seeing that on Entourage itself. The director of this movie, Stephen C. Miller, has directed horror movies before this, and then other action B-tier level shoot 'em ups that were probably direct to DVD or direct to Netflix now, with big names, including Bruce Willis, who's also in this. I think Meloni, who's also in this. Batista, who is also in this, and Stallone. So like, it seems like a trajectory, like horror movies, and then the action movies, and they're all probably still like in the same genre. This is one of his first one of those. That's it for the non-spoiler section of this movie. So go to the timestamp that you see wherever you see the timestamp. And, I'm going to go ahead and take a sip before we dip into spoiler territory. Oh, actually, I'm going to finish that drink off. Then I'm going to start another one. I'm going to still give you more time. I'll still give you more time as I make myself another drink. Oh, that's terrible. That's awful. Oh my God, that's horrendous. That tastes terrible. Oh, God, that is the pits. Remind me to mix my drinks better. All right. So in terms of the actual movie itself, Christopher Meloni, who plays the cop in this, the main FBI agent in this, he is the unadulterated saving grace in this movie. He is the one whose performance stands out the best, stands out the most. Christopher Meloni is getting very, very close to being in that national treasure range because he can do a lot. And he played a cop on SVU for a number of years, and this time he gets to curse while he does it. And I've seen him in Happy, which was the one with Patton Oswalt, and he was good in that as well, the series. So he's the saving grace here. Every time he's on the screen, the movie brightens up. The movie gets better. The performances get better, including from our boy Big Dave, Big Bad Dave. Dave is in this movie not a whole lot. He doesn't do a whole lot of action. He gets one action scene at the end where he spears our boy Vinny Chase, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But other than that, he doesn't get a whole lot of action. He doesn't get a whole lot of line. Like, he gets some lines or whatever. He's in it, but there's not really a reason to make him the face of the thing on Netflix. Like, he's just kind of, sort of there. I feel like this is a paycheck movie for a lot of people, but Chris Meloni seems to kind of show up. It feels like a paycheck movie for Bruce Willis. And it feels like, I don't know if it's a paycheck movie for Grenier. I feel like Grenier, because looking at Grenier's IMDb, this may be his attempt to like really get into it, because I think the Entourage movie came out, I think, a year before in 2015, which I saw and wasn't that impressed with. I feel like he's at this point trying to get out of being the Hallmark movie guy, because he's done a couple of those at this point, one of which has a terrible shot. And I'm going to show it here. Look at this. Oh, Vinny. Oh, Vinny, what are we? Look what they did to my boy. Look what they did to my boy. Oh. Anyway, I feel like Meloni showed up. Meloni showed up to act and collect his paycheck. Everyone else who has a name, not so much. The budget on this thing and the what makes you say it's a B-list movie? They're surreal. The way some of the angles are shot, the way they use some of the people and some of the aspects of this movie. There's one blonde reporter who is clearly out of her depth in terms of acting, who's in this movie anyway. I don't know who she's fucking on the set, but she's in this movie anyway. And they make her not only a local news person, but also she writes for the local paper. Nah, bro. Nah, your schedule doesn't allow you to do both of those, and most places aren't gonna allow you to do both of those. You might be able to write an editorial or whatever, but they make her the reporter, and it's like, huh? Y'all got the budget for more than one reporter? You got enough budget to hire a waitress on the set to ask some dude if he wants something to drink as he sits down, and then send her off if she never has another scene again. Yet you don't have the budget to hire to tell her to be the reporter instead of the waitress. You can cut the waitress part out, and then. Anyway, this is clearly B League in a lot of aspects. Batista definitely, one of the things that Batista did, there was a product placement scene. Chris Meloni is in a bar, and he goes to this bar all the time, mourning his dead wife. But he does the stereotypical trope thing where he has a glass of wine, and not even like brew, not even like actual liquor, but like a glass of wine. And he just stares at the glass of wine. He doesn't drink it. He smells it. He just doesn't do. He's not gonna drink the glass of wine. And that's one of the running through lines. Is is he an alcoholic? And at the end, we'll get to that when we get to that. But as Dave Bautista's meeting him at the bar, he orders a specific drink, very specific. It was like Bushmill Black, right? And he orders that specific drink, and they take the time to have the bartender have it, pour it, put it down in camera view, and hand him the glass. Wow. It's amazing. Wow. Like that was just blatant product placement, I guess, to get the movie made. Okay, fine. Somebody else is getting a check. I don't know what that paid for. But it paid for somebody's salary for that day at least. This movie's about bank robbers that go in and rob banks with guns and everything and shoot them up and shoot everything in the bank up. And my oh my, aren't they very precise? It's almost like they're soldiers. They're soldiers of fortune. They're better than SWAT teams. Who could possibly be behind these? It's people that are connected to a senator in this taking place in Ohio, of course. It's taking place. I say of course because it looks shabby and it's raining all the fucking time. That's Ohio. But the people that are running this, we don't really get to meet them. Like, we get to meet them as because apparently a couple of the people are on the FBI team. One of which is a guy whose wife is dying of pancreatic cancer, and he's just trying to get some money he's really the good guy in the team. We don't know that Adrian Grenier is an interloper in the FBI. He's really a part of this Marauder team. He's just brought in as the new Boy Scout. Batista calls him G.I. Joe. He's a new Boy Scout in the FBI. He's brand new out of Quantico, and he turns out he's on the team too. He ends up double-crossing the guy with cancer, shooting him in a beer out. I'm fast-forwarding to a lot of shit because you don't really need to know a lot of shit in this movie because it tries to have a lot of tangled webs that come off, I guess, okay, but like you don't really care. You really don't. You really don't care. Yada yada yada. They think Bruce Willis is the head of the bank. They think Bruce Willis is involved. Bruce Willis is kind of sort of involved. Funding the thing or whatever. He killed his younger brother who was supposed to get an inheritance, which I suppose it makes sense, but also doesn't because many people. Many of the elite have their, younger siblings get an inheritance, and they're get a trust when they're 20-something years old, and they're fine. Like, they're fine. Like, let them have their money. I'll continue to make money with my money. If he squanders it, like, what's the point of killing him just for the... stupid. It's stupid, and it doesn't... And you don't need to dwell on it for too long. Let's see. Christopher Meloni gets a video chat, almost an anonymous style, from these guys, and they're like, we're coming after you. Haha, you don't actually want to kill yourself. And this is after a scene where he's thinking about killing himself. And this is one of the things I noticed. Style over substance in this. Stephen C. Smith, style over substance. This scene starts off, one of the stylistically over the shoulder of Christopher Meloni is in his not bare but sterilely clean apartment, and he's got the gun and the glass of wine, and he's about to do it, and he hears the guys in his computers, and he goes to confront the guys in his computer, right? Very stylized. And there are other stylized shots like that. It's very good with the style, or at least he's trying with the style. He's experimenting with different angles and different styles and different motifs. Not even motifs, but different ways of putting together a scene in this particular movie. He's experimenting. Why not? It doesn't really matter. Bank robbery. During one of the bank robberies, one of the guys actually shoots a guard, but he tries to save him. He holds the clock. He holds him and tries to save the guard that he initially killed. They've been kidnapping people and holding their families ransomed in order for them to get in and get the things that they need to get, etc., etc. Not that it really fucking matters. Fast forward to the end of the movie. Adrian Grenier, after shooting the guy in the tunnel, calls it in. He shoots him straight in the throat. Don't make me do it, man. Don't make me do it. Mexican standoff. Don't make me do it, man. Don't make me do it. And he makes him do it. Bang! Shoots him. Boom! Bullet right in the Adam's apple. Me just doing that right there hurt my Adam's apple. My voice is probably a little bit changed. This guy catches a bullet dead in the Adam's apple, and still, as he's leaving the earth, as he's relinquishing these mortal coils, is able to say, "Tell my wife I loved her." How, Sway? How? Your vocal cords got shot out, son. How? Bullet in the throat. In the throat. They showed the explosion of blood. They showed the recoil. Mediocre CGI, but it's better than Power Rangers, so we'll let it pass. But, right in the throat, right in the esophagus. How are you able to talk? How are you able to talk? How are you able to say words in a sentence at that moment? Get the fuck out of here. Thumbs down for that. Anyway, Vinny Chase ends up going off to Mexico. I was about to drink this, but I remembered how terrible it is. I'm gonna keep drinking it anyway. Oh, this is bad. That is awful. Oh, hoof. So he goes off to Mexico, where Christopher Meloni comes back and finds him, meets him in a restaurant, and they're talking about the heist, etc., etc., and how you got away with it, yada, yada, yada. Explain it to me. Big bad guy reveal. There's this thug guy that they think is the red herring who's in charge of it because his fingerprints are on some shit, but he was reported dead a long time ago. Turns out he's not actually dead. Whatever. His brother was supposed to be involved in the thing, but he's not actually dead because Grenier and his troop of guys who are the Marauders were sent in to kill him and his crew, and they killed a whole bunch of people, and they were about to kill this guy, and they saw the fear in his eyes, and they decided, nah, we're not going to kill this guy. Something's wrong. We've all been used here, so we're going to save him, right? So they saved him and keep him in hiding and make the government think he's dead. He's not actually dead. He ends up going off with his wife, with his girl, and his kid. So he's explaining that to him, and then Meloni gets up to leave, and he sees Bruce Willis also there at the same restaurant, somehow, some way. Okay. Sitting there talking to somebody else, and he sits there and he has a confrontation with Bruce Willis, and he and Bruce are sitting there, and Bruce Willis is like, this guy's all bark and no bite. He's not going to do anything. Meloni orders 2 glasses of wine from the table. Bruce Willis drinks his. Meloni sniffs his. They talk, jibber jabber. Meloni about to drink. He actually does drink his, and he's like, "Oh, you drank? I thought you were an alcoholic." He's like, "Well, I'm gonna go to hell, so you can go to heaven." While looking at Grenier off in the corner, stabs Bruce Willis dead in the heart. Bruce Willis's bodyguard then finally comes over, although he was shooed away eventually. He then probably comes over with a gun in his hand. Meloni turns around to see him. Grenier sees the bodyguard. Tap, tap to the bodyguard. Meloni flips around the gun to Grenier. Grenier just gets up and walks off. And that's the end of the movie. Boy, oh boy. Who cares about the plot? The plot, they tried. I'll give them credit. They tried. They really tried. And they had a lot of things going on in this plot. A lot more than I actually went into. Some red herrings, some dead ends. They really tried. And they tried to tug at your heartstrings with the cancer wife. And it almost seemed like they were trying with Bruce Willis as the evil banker man. But Bruce Willis was phoning it in so much that you couldn't. Who gave a shit? This was in between Die Hard. Was this like before or after? This is like right around the time of the last Die Hard movie. So I think Bruce was kind of phoning it in. I think most of them were phoning it in. Like I mentioned before, I think the only ones that weren't phoning it in are the no-name actors who were trying to make a name for themselves. God bless you. And Christopher Meloni, who is acting his ass off, and Adrian Grenier, who I don't know how good his acting chops really are. I mean, he played a vapid, caricature of an actor on a TV show for, 7 years or so? And in a movie. And he never really, that character never grew, never expanded, never matured. So, and he never matured as an actor. Like everybody else around him, except for Kevin Dillon, their characters matured and got better, and you saw different acting peaks and valleys from them. But Grenier just kind of stayed on this steady, nothing, dead-eyed pace, and he seems like he's continuing to try. It almost seems like he's trying here, but I don't know how much it resonates in terms of his performance. Like I mentioned, Meloni is the one whose performance carries the whole thing as far as he can carry it. The rest of the movie just kind of happens. It's an hour and a half of your life that you're never going to get back, but you're not really going to miss all that much, especially because Meloni is so good in this. So, all in all, out of $15, Marauders is worth about $650. For about $650. Like it's a B tier movie. It's a B tier movie, and not one of the better B tier movies that you'll see on a streaming service like Netflix. There are better movies that we've seen on Netflix. This isn't one of the better ones. It's fine for what it is. It's gonna disappear off my Netflix pretty soon. Okay, fine. I ain't gonna miss it. It's been there forever. I put it on there forever because I saw Batista. I wanted to see kind of what it was. Okay, I saw what it was. I'm not gonna miss it. You're not missing anything by not watching it, but you are missing stuff by not clicking subscribe or like here on the videos. You see how I did that? You see how I did that transition? That's what I do. I transition just like I'm transitioning into you telling me down there in the comments section how correct I am about Marauders and about Christopher Meloni's exceptional, his performance. Exceptional? I don't know. His performance? Sure. Talk about Christopher Meloni's performance. Down there in the comment section, like and share. I do a podcast with my homeboy Trey every Thursday. It's called the How Do We Even Get Here podcast. You can find it everywhere. The links are in the description. You don't want to look at the description? That's fine. Just remember tinyurl.com/getHereTube is a YouTube channel where you go to. We are currently, and I'm filming this on 13, count them, 13 different audio platforms for your listening pleasure. Huh? Come on, baby. We're doing it big time. Doing it big time, baby. Big time, baby. That's what we're doing there. And in the meantime, the in-between time, I'm going to take one more sip of this awful fucking cocktail and say cheers.
I'm a nice guy, I'm a nice place, with a nice smile on my nice face. Turn it back and I'm making sure my night's straight. And when you're out of town, I'll be making sure your wife's straight.